Welcome to the channel, Infinite Exploit, where we learn and have fun. Let's get started and Brody, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Love you guys.
This is an AI Napoleon Dynamite. I meant Infinite Exploit, and the techniques and tutorials shared in this video are intended for educational purposes only. The content shared here is designed to increase awareness and knowledge in cybersecurity and should never be used for malicious intent or to cause harm. Always act responsibly and ethically.
So I'm going to walk you through a typical workflow that an ethical hacker or a black hat hacker will go through in order to explore a machine. So typically, once they do recon, which is getting information in regards to their target, they can do that with open source tools and social media accounts and things like that. They usually get an IP address and they can run whois against the IP address. For example, let's say I'm doing a local host right now. You get results about that company. You see a variety of things there on the clear screen. Then once you get information in regards to the IP from an Nmap scan against the IP address, it'll tell you what ports are open and what services are being ran. So with that being said, you can look at any exploits available for those systems or services that are being run or applications, okay? And you can use a tool called Searchsploit, right? And for example, let's say it's running Bad Blue, right, as a service. Then you can look for different exploits available, and these are written in a lot of different languages. See, this is Ruby, that's C, that's C++, that's Perl. Sometimes they're text files, but once you download them locally, so for example, say I wanted to download this one in C right here. I could take that path, I could copy it, and if I go ls, it's right there, and I can cat it out, and this is the code, right? This is the code. So if I'm running that version, I can use this exploit here to gain access to that system. So in the clear screen, another tool you can use is Metasploit. And the way you go there is you do MSF console. And this is when I hold a database full of exploits and enumeration tools and tools for post-exploitation. So that means after you have gained access to your target, you can enumerate and get further information like password hashes. You get, it's about a keylogger, you can dump information, right? So same thing here. So say I search Bad Blue. As you see, it's not the same amount of available exploits, but I still have a couple options there. So what if I'm using this exploit here? What if I'm running version 2.5? Then I can actually use the 0, right? And I can go show options. And I can, it's on port 80 because this is like a web-based application. So usually that'll be running on port 80. Our host is your remote host. That's your target. So that's the IP address that you're going to find that you're going to attack, right? So you'll put that in by doing set our host to whatever IP it is. L host is your IP that you're listening on as the attacker and whatever port that you want to listen to it on. So when we talk about reverse shells and bind shells, this is where it comes to play, right? Once you send that exploit, you're going to actually have a listener set up waiting for that connection. And once that exploit is executed on the target system, then you'll have a shell. And we mentioned that shells or command line interfaces where you can interact with the operating system. So you may have, when you're in Metasploit, you have what is called an interpreter shell, where it's still like a command line, but it's in Metasploit, okay? You can still convert into a Windows shell or Linux shell, depending on the operating system that you're exploiting, okay? All right, so let's exit out of here. Well, I'm also showing you another thing. Go back. You can also search for, let's say you want to enumerate something like you want to look for users. You can do HTTP, search for HTTP users. And depending on what type of service you're running, you can enumerate users, right? Or find users. So there's so many different options available. Metasploit is your tool, your go-to tool, kind of like an all-in-one package, all right? So let me exit out of Metasploit. Another tool that we'll use is after you exported the system and you got information such as password hashes, then you can run those against a tool called Giant, and you can use whatever the hash is. So you saved it in the hash.txt file, right? So let's do this. Give an example. I don't have a, let me give an example really quick, because more than likely I can find a hash online. ND5 hashes are very easy to crypt. All right, so they said our hash generates fraud, and I'm pretty sure they're probably in rocky.txt. So if I did John with this hash and users share word list RockU, that's usually where you had your pre-built, predefined word list. RockU is one of the biggest word lists you can have already set up on the Kali machine. Let's see, I may have to do -W, the word list. Let me let me echo this into a text file, into hash.txt, and let me hash.txt. Now let's see if I can run it instead of running it with just the hash. So it goes through multiple iterations, and it looks for what type of hash is this. So the SHA-256 is an MD5 hash. It's going to configure the option to match whatever hash that it recognizes. You can automatically select the module you want to run in if you're familiar with the hash type. I could have demonstrated as well. After this, let's do this. While this one's running, open up a new tab, and we can use hashcat on this as well. And it's going to automatically have a default word list that's on the pull from, right? However, you can define whatever word list you like. Set list is a big list as well. So another thing I want to go over with you is HTTP web server. So Python allows you to host your own web server so you can serve your files up locally, okay? And this is how attackers can transfer files from their computer to the victim's machine. So let me demonstrate this for you. So ls, as you can see, I have all these folders here, and I have these files. I've got the exploit here, a hash file, and this file here. So I can do python-m http server. By default, it's going to put it on 8000, but you can put it on whatever port that's available as well, okay? By adding the port to the end. So what does this mean? So if I go to the web and I go to localhost, which I could do http://localhost and get to port 8000, and I could see it. And I could do 127.0.0.1 port 8000, okay? So let me show you really quick, okay? So we do localhost 8000. You can see my directories, right? You can see the C file, the new.txt, and the hash.txt. I can also access this if I do, see, 127, same thing. And how is this important? Well, a lot of times you might have someone running on a Windows machine, right? And you're on Linux. So how could they transfer files that way? How could they do that? Well, they can use PowerShell. They can also use a built-in utility called certutil. And although it's used for certificates, it also can be used to transfer files. Okay? So let me give you an example. Since we have PowerShell in here, let me show you an example really quick. Okay, so for y'all that did not see my PowerShell in 60 seconds video, I'm going to explain to you what's going on here. So I'm going to do invoke web request. This is a commandlet, right? I'm going to do that's URI. I'm going to specify the local host on that port. And let's say I want to download that new.txt file, right? I'm going to do out file, and I'm going to name it webnew.txt since I got it from the web. All right. If I do ls, as you can see here, I have webnew. So it's the same file, but this is the difference. This is the difference, you guys. I'm doing all this locally, but when you are doing this in the wild, this will actually be a Windows box or machine, right? And this will still be your attacker machine. Same thing apply. No, for some reason,